Hello and welcome to Inner GPS Gurus. Today I am going to educate you or make you aware about one major symptom that you are going through and yet you don't know what is the cause behind all the health problems, all the mental issues or all the life's problem that you may have been facing and not getting solution anywhere in the world. Today, this topic will give you the insights about your own problem, even if you have suppressed it for a long period of time and you have not addressed it properly so that you can get healed completely. The topic is symptoms of childhood trauma in adulthood. In this video, I will be covering most of the symptoms that you go through due to childhood trauma in your adulthood. And also, I will make you aware about the solutions, the remedies or the rejuvenation after healing you completely so that you can live a free life, a healed life, and you can be happy here and now. So, let me introduce myself first and our founder, IGG Avdut. I am IGG Sanju. We are trauma healers and we are here to help you for healing you completely from the core of your problems. There are many symptoms that you experience in your adulthood, and the origin of these symptoms is your childhood or your teenage or your past life. There are many reasons behind the trauma that you are facing, and the causes are deep rooted in your nervous system, the causes are deep rooted in your subtle body, the causes are deep rooted in your body, mind and energy body. But since you have not addressed these symptoms to uproot it from the root cause of it, it is lying in your subconscious and it is creating problems in your life in multiple ways. So first of all, how do you know that you are going through a trauma or you had suppressed your trauma? There are two causes behind it, or there are two levels of awareness. One level of awareness is you are aware of your childhood trauma. It could be a physical abuse, it could be a mental abuse, or it could be an unknown cause and you do not know the root reason behind it. You are not aware of the trauma that had happened to you, maybe in a situation in which you were not able to act. It may have happened, it might have happened in a situation in which you were vulnerable, you were not in a position to react to the condition or the situation externally or internally. So, before I go ahead with the symptoms that you experience due to trauma, let me share with you a case study that we healed. The person was unaware of the trauma lying beneath the surface of her mind, the surface of her physical body, and it was locked in the energy body. So, how do you react to something that is beyond your control? the first response that your body gives when you are in an uncontrolled situation is a freeze mode or blocking of energies that you experience and you don't know how to solve it. So this freeze mode, how did it happen in this case study? Let me share. She is a woman aged 49 years. Right now, her story is her son is around 20 years of age, studying engineering. She lives with her husband, separated 20 years ago in the same home. After the birth of the son, when the woman came to her home, her husband rejected the child. I will share with you the condition of the husband at that point of time. Now, this woman, her story goes beyond that. When she was 16 years of age, her father expired and her mother was the only person in the family with two children, one, this woman, and her younger sister who was 8 years old at that time. So when her father died at the age of 16, she had to become a man of the house overnight. And since then, the trauma got lodged in her system. She was a young girl, full of youthful energy. She was planning her life ahead to study, and her name is Elisa from Italy. And this lady, this woman, at the age of 16, she and her nervous system and her mind, body, the energy body, the soul, had to suppress the energy of the youthful girl who was in her teenage, but had to suppress all the dreams, all the possibilities, all the hopes to live a life full of freedom, and had to become the man of the house because her mother was traumatized by the sudden death of the father, and she was mentally sick, retarded at that point, and she was traumatized too with the whole event. In order to take care of her mother, this lady, Elisa, had to become a man. Just imagine you are a girl who is not yet grown up as an adult, and you are becoming the man. You have to adopt the masculine qualities. You have to become matured overnight and had to take care of the young sister who was 8 years old at that time, as well as take care of her mother who was sick and who was totally collapsed in the situation. From that time onwards, she has been taking care of her mother and her younger sister till the time her younger sister did not get married at the age of 25. So during all these events, what she was doing, she was suppressing all the emotions and killing all the dreams of the soul, of the mind, of the person who she was. And all this led to a blockage of energy in her solar plexus region, in her sacral chakra, and her heart chakra was also closed and the upper chakras were all blocked. This is very difficult situation because when you suppress your trauma in your system, it does not show up at the surface. The symptoms that you experience in your adulthood is of totally different quality. In fact, you don't know that you are going through any trauma, and that is the reason behind all the issues that you face on your physical level, mental level, emotional level, your social relationship, and everything else that makes up your life. So this lady, Eliza, came to us for her constipation, came to us for her chronic fatigue, came to us for her fibromyalgia issues. And when we diagnosed her, we found that the trauma is back in time when she was 16 years of age, and we healed her from such long duration of trauma completely through our energy healing workshop that I and IGG Avadut do. When you come to us through our workshop, I diagnose you, I heal you, I coach you, and IGG Avadut does the energy work in a dynamic way by removing all your blockages from your system through his energy healing process. We both are powerful Siddhas with spiritual powers, and we have the power to heal you from your traumatic past, either from this birth or from your previous birth. So, understanding the case and understanding the intensity of problem, coming back to the symptoms, I will divide the symptoms in adulthood in terms of your behavior, in terms of the physical issues, emotional issues that you face, and you will get an idea whether some trauma is left to be solved in your system. Now, the physical symptoms. The physical symptoms that you face due to trauma may be related to your nervous system. There could be a nervous breakdown, or it could be related to your digestive system, constipation, chronic fatigue, colitis, all these things, the cause behind it could be trauma. If you are facing your joint pain or breathing issues, or you have some mental issues, then you should understand that you are facing most of the symptoms due to your trauma. Next is when you are experiencing emotional issues in the form of aggressive behavior. If you are becoming a narcissist, if you are becoming a person who troubles others, then that could be also the reason of trauma, and you may face symptoms like getting angry too much, getting frustrated too much, and becoming a perpetrator who hurt others. You may experience that you are behaving differently with people and not behaving as per your integrated self. You could display two kinds of behavior. Either you could behave like a victim, or you could be behaving like a perpetrator, and you may be extrovert in nature, or you may be an introvert in nature due to your traumatic past. If you have aggressive behavior, then you will become more extrovert, you will connect with people, you will be more towards external life, socializing more, getting addicted, drinking alcohol publicly, or getting other addictions publicly. All these things, all this kind of behavior you will show up. But if you are introvert, then you will hurt yourself by remaining aloof, in solitude, or remaining confined to a room, not mixing up with people, not responding to situations actively. If someone hurts you, you will not hurt them back. You will not them back, what you will do? You will be more towards hurting yourself, self-sabotaging, and you will succumb to the situation. All these behavioral aspects indicate that you are traumatized, and even if you are working in your work culture or workplace, you are mostly suppressing. If your boss, your colleagues tell you something which you do not like, you do not respond them back. You have become a nice guy. So there are many symptoms that you show up in your behavior, physically as well as the way you behave with other people. So if you are understanding that your life is not an integrated one, you are feeling not yourself, you are feeling differently, you are feeling that you do not belong to this place, you do not feel belong to the people around you, if you feel disconnected from everything, then understand that you are going through a trauma which remained undetected till now, and this is the time that you take some actions to heal yourself, and the action is to meet us and uproot your cause, uproot your symptoms and become healthy. The physical symptoms may also take up the form of obesity or losing weight suddenly or becoming old suddenly. You will experience that suddenly you have become old. In 2 to 3 years of time, you are becoming old. The physical symptoms may take the form of porn addiction, the form of alcohol addiction, the form of drug addiction, smoking, eating too much of junk food, eating too much of animal food, non-vegetarian food, beef, meat, pork, all these kind of food you will prefer over healthy food. So these symptoms show up in your food habits, and the reason behind it is trauma. The reason could be anything. It could be a childhood trauma, it could be an accidental trauma, it could be trauma from parents, or a trauma from your friends, trauma from a stranger. When your body could not respond to the stimulus getting from that person, it could be a trauma from a perpetrator, someone in your relatives. If you have allowed that person to abuse you by becoming a victim in your childhood, then it could be a major reason behind the trauma that you are carrying still now. That the trauma could be due to a spiritual awakening that had happened in your childhood or any time in your life, and you are still carrying that energy of fight, freeze, and flight mode, and your nervous system is still responding to that trauma that had happened long ago. Coming to Eliza's case, her symptoms did not show up in the form of emotional outburst. She was a happy lady, full of life, but the symptoms showed up in the form of other problems in the physical body, and that was causing stress in her life, and her life became standstill at the age of 49. She understand the intensity of the trauma. She did not choose to leave her husband in the last 20. She got married at the age of maybe around 21 or 22, but in the last 30 years or of duration, she could not, 29 years precisely, she could not respond to the narcissist behavior of her husband. She was all the time in the same home, sharing separate room though, but sharing the same space with the narcissist husband who rejected the child and did not take care of the child. The reason was that person himself was traumatized, that person himself was with negative and lower energies and could not accept the liveliness of Aliza the way she wanted her husband to be. He did not take the responsibility of the child. Only he provided for the food, clothing, and shelter. But apart from that, the husband, rejected Aliza and rejected the child totally. So this was another trauma that she was carrying, and it spilled on her body in the form of physical symptoms. So you don't know what kind of physical symptoms are evident in you due to the trauma of the past. So if you understand that you have suppressed most of your energies in your subtle body, then it will come up later in your life and it will lead you to a diseased body in this birth itself. So this awareness about the trauma I have given you in this video, I will deal with it in a more detailed manner in the coming time. If you have any questions related to this topic, then you can definitely ask in the comments. We will address them in the next video. But if you want yourself to be healed completely, then my suggestion is do meet us and get yourself healed. To contact us, you can email us and our team will respond to you and give you all the instructions, directions through which you can meet us. This trauma healing is physical session, is a trauma healing workshop in which both of us, I the co-founder and Avdut founder, we both heal you energetically, and you will feel the difference in your life because you will be released of all the past that you are carrying in your nervous system, you are carrying in your brain, you are carrying in your mind, you are carrying in your body, and it is lodged deep inside, that we uproot, that we heal through our powerful energy healing, and that is direct transmission of energy from the source, from the divine forces. And most of the traumas that you experience due to your past lives, we heal them energetically without you going into your past life. So it is a very powerful session, and for that the powerful divine electrified energy need to be passed through your body directly from us. That is why we have created this opportunity for you to meet us wherever you are in the world. You can meet us and get yourself healed completely. I will deal with this topic in a more detailed way in the coming time. Understand that trauma remains stuck in your energy channels. Trauma remains stuck in your energy centers or chakras, and you get stagnant in your life and unable to do any functions of life in a natural way, in a way human being function. Your life is stuck. Everything becomes standstill. So if you understand the intensity of this problem, you will definitely take the initiative to meet us and take the effort required to deal with the problem confidently and courageously. Most of the people who go through trauma face the symptom of fear and succumbing to a situation, not taking the initiative. You do not feel strong enough to take the initiative. You need powerful trauma healers like us who will help you to come out of the situation. You don't need to carry your past in your body. Your life is in present, and your life force wants you to remain in the present moment. So take the initiative and take enough effort to heal yourself. You deserve to live a life happily. You deserve to live in freedom, and you do not need to be caged in this situation and totally spoil your life. We don't want you to go to a situation where you feel like this life is a burden. Most of the traumatic people go through self-sabotage by committing suicide. There are many cases that could not be detected by any medical reasons. The reason was deep rooted in the trauma that the person had faced in the past, and due to that symptom, due to that reason, the person is facing problems of aggression, addiction, and that person cannot live happily in this birth, in this moment, and that is why that person committed suicide. You could be bedridden, you could be having cancer due to trauma. Most of the cancer happens due to trauma, and we have healed many people. When they come to us, they are diagnosed with some separate or different disease. But when we heal them and try to go into the deep cause of behind it, we find that it is due to trauma, and we heal them energetically, powerfully. So along with the cancer treatment that you take through the medical process, you need deep rooted healing. If you are facing problems with your nervous system, that you are unable to respond to day-to-day activities of life, you are unable to function in the daily activities of life, you are diagnosed with year-long process of some nervous disorder, some brain damage or anything, you are not dealing and you are not in a position to heal yourself. You need powerful people. That is why we have created this platform through which you can meet us directly and get the solution immediately. It may take a few sessions for your complete trauma healing, but it is worth it. Any investment in your time, money and energy that is related to giving your life is worth investing. So invest in yourself. You deserve to live a happy life, and you don't deserve to suffer anymore. Heal the soul in you, heal the source in you, and start a new life afresh and get healthy soon. All right. So I have mentioned all the important symptoms of childhood that you experience in adulthood. Take the plunge, take the decision that I don't need to suffer more. If you want to connect, do meet us as soon as possible. I will create another video on how you can meet us, contact us, and everything I will mention in that video, and you will get the link soon. All right. So take care of yourself. Don't ignore yourself, and have a great day. Bye bye.